and continue sharing the slides. So welcome to a meditation for a relaxing reset event with me, Irina. Pleasure to be here with you. I'm truly honored. So some event guidelines I wanted to go over is that this event will be recorded. So if you have to dip out early and you have another commitment, you will find this event on our blog. You can just go to meetup.com/blog and you'll see all the events that we've held in the past right on that page. From mute, your audio is already automatically muted and your video is already automatically turned off. So rest assured that you can just do what you're doing. You don't need to do any extra steps. If you have a question, in the chat function all the way to the right, you will see a Q&A button. So if you have a question, we are going to spend the last 15 minutes of this event. Well, I'm going to spend the last 15 minutes of this event answering them. So please go ahead and pop one if you have a question. Closed captioning. You can turn on live transcript icon at the bottom, and it will basically turn on subtitles for everything that I say. So yeah, your preference. So for an agenda, we will do a 5-minute introduction. I'm just going to talk about how I got into meditation and mindfulness. Then we'll get into all of the amazing practical tips that I've prepared. And like I said, we'll finish with a Q&A. And then I'm going to get to that at the very end. So let me stop sharing my screen. And let's begin. So hello again, everybody. I'm Irina, and I am absolutely ecstatic to be here with you. And I'm a little nervous too, but I trust that it will be great. What I wanted to share is how I got into this practice. And it started a decade ago when I experienced a few lows and hardships in my life and was feeling some anxiety, overwhelm, general stress with everything that I was dealing with. And I wanted a new hobby to bring some newness into my life. And I discovered yoga. And it changed my life. I'm sure you probably heard other people say, have similar stories. And so I continued to practice and got absolutely addicted in a good way. And it was definitely challenging at first. I don't want to take away from that. But I kept showing up, and here I am a decade later. I still feel like I have a lot to learn, but I have a lot of valuable tools in my own belt, and they have been amazing to help navigate the ups and downs of life. So something that I want to clarify, I think a common misconception of meditation is that it will eliminate all of your problems. And that's just not true. It won't, I'm sorry, but it will provide some new perspective and a new way to look at things. So I don't know if anybody on this call can relate, but that is my story. Before I continue, I would like to invite us all to just settle into where we are and close our eyes just for a moment, put our hands over our heart, and take a deep breath in through the nose and open the mouth and exhale. And let's do 2 more just like that. Deep inhale in through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale. And 1 more deep inhale in through the nose. And then open the mouth and let it go. Keeping the eyes closed for a moment and with your hands on your heart, I'll invite you to check in with yourself. So ask yourself, how am I feeling in this very moment? How am I feeling? What emotions am I moving through? Let's take another deep breath in and exhale. And when you're ready, go ahead and blink your eyes open. Hi. I like doing that because I'm sure there's a lot going on in our lives, and maybe we had a hectic day beforehand and a long list of things to do after this. So it's important to pause and just check in with where we are. And I'd love to hear just one word of what came up for you when you checked in. Go ahead and type it in the chat. Okay. So we got all sorts of answers. Yeah, I see anxiety, peace, tension, content. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Again, as another gentle reminder, when you type an answer in the chat, you have two options. You can either show the answer to myself, and if so, you need to send the answer to all panelists. But if you want to show your answer to the rest of the participants, then you can select to all panelists and attendees. So if you're wondering why you're not seeing all the answers, then that's why. But I see all sorts of answers ranging from peace to calm to anxiety to Christina just being glad to get here to listen. I'm really glad that you got here too. I'm glad that all of you got here. And whatever you're dealing with right now, whatever you're moving through, trust that you are doing a great job. You are doing a great job. You're enough. And there's nothing wrong with you. April is the Stress Awareness Month. And I think it's important to bring light to that because stress is something that a lot of us are dealing with on a regular basis. And I, out of curiosity, earlier today looked up how many people feel anxious. And the data is always changing, but I got roughly 20% of people just in the States alone will suffer through anxiety. And it's unfortunate. But the good news is that there is a way out, and meditation can provide that. Meditation and other practices like breath work and journaling, and there in yoga, and so many different types of mindful exercises. And so I just want you to know that there is a way out. And so today, I prepared a list of very practical exercises. Some of them are my favorite and ones that I do on a regular basis. My hope is that you feel empowered to do them on your own and that you really adopt them and make them personal and realize that you actually don't need anybody but yourself to get yourself to feel balanced, to feel more whole, to get unstuck. I, out of curiosity earlier today, Googled what the definition of stress was because I didn't actually know. And I'll read you the exact thing that I got. I got a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. So, really, stress is just a reaction to the external world. And I thought, well, if it's just a reaction, can't we choose to respond instead? Right? A reaction is something that comes from a subconscious state of being and it's more emotional. But a response is a lot more conscious and intelligent, right? This is where emotional intelligence comes in. This is where we ask ourselves, can I count to 10 before answering? And I went a little bit deeper. I wanted to know what calm meant. And I ended up listening to a podcast by Brene Brown. I don't know if anybody knows of her. I'm sure many of you do. She's amazing. If you don't know her, I'll just put her name in the chat. Brene Brown, amazing person, author, and she has a great podcast too. And so Brene was talking about this exact thing of like, how do I respond with intelligence? And she talked about the word calm and what calm meant. And she couldn't find a definition that she liked. So she created her own. And I wrote that one down as well. And she said, calm to her means perspective, mindfulness, and the ability to manage emotional reactivity. So back to this response. How do I respond rather than react? Knowing that your being calm is just as contagious as somebody being angry and anxious. And if 20% of us are experiencing anxiety, then we know personally how that feels. So people on this chat, I'm sure you can relate. And if you can't, then I will guarantee that you probably have a loved one that is going through something similar. And so we learn these techniques so that we can do them ourselves and so that we can share them with people that we love and overall create a more positive, calm world. Somebody asked, does someone know the name of her podcast? Yes, it's called, she has two, Dare to Lead and Unlocking Us. It's amazing. Highly recommend. I'm going to type it in, Unlocking Us and Dare to Lead. She also has a Netflix special. I just watched it recently and also amazing. If you go to Netflix and just search for Brene Brown, you will definitely find it. Okay. And so back to stress. We're just about ready to do the practices. And I wanted to just share one more quick story. And it's one of my favorite ones. And I share it quite frequently. If you come to my events, I have a meetup group, by the way. Actually, before I get in, I'm going to share that one as well. It's meetup.com/withstillness. And I imagine some of you came from that group. But if you come to my events, you probably heard me talk about this story before. And it's about two monks that are just journeying. They are on a walk. And as they are traveling on foot, they come across a lake and an old woman who is standing on the edge of the lake. And she asks if they can help her cross this, let's say, river instead of a lake. So she asks if they can help her cross this river. And the first monk doesn't even hesitate. You know, he throws her over his shoulder, walks across, sets her down. She thanks him. He says, no problem. And then the two monks continue walking. And, you know, a couple of hours go by, and the second monk just, you could tell he's holding on to something and he can't take it anymore. And he finally says, I can't believe you picked up that woman. You know that as monks, we're not supposed to touch women. I can't believe you did this. And the first monk laughed and said, hey, I put that woman down a long time ago. You are the one that's still carrying her. And I share this story as a little anecdote of how sometimes we are holding on to things that is only hurting us, things that we don't need to hold on to, things that we can let go of and we'll feel lighter. I'm glad to see that some of you are resonating with that story. So, with that, I want to go into our exercises. Like I said, I have quite a few prepared, and I encourage you to do your best to do them all. And if something doesn't resonate with you, then that's totally okay as well. So, what you're going to need, we are going to be doing a little bit of journaling at the beginning and towards the end of the session. I see that Reddy's asking for the name of the Netflix. I don't remember it, but if you just search Brene Brown on Netflix, you'll find it. So, what we're going to need is a pen and a paper. I highly encourage you to do pen and paper versus a computer because we're optimizing, for a sacred activity rather than speed and efficiency. So go ahead, just grab a pen and a paper so that you can do some journaling. And another thing that I would recommend you to grab is a glass of water, just so that if you feel like taking a sip and you get a little thirsty, you have it next to you. And this one's going to be a little bit more interesting. Is I want you to grab something that smells nice. So it could be a piece of fruit, or maybe you have lotion or an essential oil or perfume. Just go ahead and grab that, and you will see why later. And for everybody else that's here, is this anybody's first time meditating? Out of curiosity. Jeff, I can't smell right now. That's okay. Yes. So I see there's a lot of yeses. Okay. Welcome. Welcome. Meditation. Just a few misconceptions. You, the point is not for you to stop thinking. Asking your brain to stop thinking is like asking your heart to stop beating, right? So it's not to have zero thoughts, but it's to be aware of the thoughts that we have. And I just want to say that if you feel distracted throughout the practice, that's totally okay. It's just about bringing it back to the breath or to your seat or anything else that you can focus on. And it is like a muscle. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. So let's go ahead and get comfortable. I am sitting on a chair, but if you would prefer to sit on the floor and on a cushion, go ahead and do that. If you want to lie down, go for it. If you find that you usually fall asleep, then try standing. It is completely up to you, but go ahead and get comfortable. And when you get there, let's grab our pen and paper because we are going to have a quick journaling question before we get into the meditation. And I will have 3 minutes for this journaling prompt. And I want you to write whatever comes to mind. There's no right, there's no wrong. This is a very personal experience. And the question that you're going to write is, what's going on in my inner world today is. So I just put it in the chat. And I'm setting a 3-minute timer. So what's going on in my inner world today is. What's going on? Maybe you have a long to-do list, or you're currently going through a stressful experience. Maybe you have some anxiety. Just write about it in your journal. We're about halfway there. Okay, finishing up and pens down. Great job. And one more question before we get into the meditation. And this one's going to be shorter, just 1 minute. And the prompt is, I would feel lighter if I let go of. And if you're having a hard time with what you're writing, you're more than welcome to pause and just take a deep breath. It's okay. "30 seconds left." Finishing up and pens down. Good job. I admire your vulnerability in the things that you wrote. And you don't have to share what you wrote with anybody. If you feel like destroying the piece of paper after, go for it. Okay. And with that, let's go ahead and start with the meditation. With all the things that you wrote, let's go ahead and physically shake it up. And you can start with just moving your shoulders up and down, and then maybe dropping into your hands. And anything you'd like to release, anything that you wrote, just imagine that you could physically shake it out. And you can intensify the shake. You can close your eyes if it helps. Just shake it out and then drop your hands down. Relax. Close your eyes if you haven't yet. And we'll just go right into the meditation. Notice if you can make yourself 5 or 10% more comfortable. If you need to do some minor adjustment to let your body know that it is safe and that it's okay for it to relax, and that in this very moment, there is nothing and nowhere that it has to do or be but here. And let's take a few cleansing breaths in through the nose out of the mouth. Again, in through the nose. And whatever you need to release out the mouth, let it go. One more cleansing breath in through the nose. Open mouth. Release. I'll invite you to begin tuning your awareness into the body. I'll guide you through a gentle body scan. So all you have to do is follow your awareness in alignment to my voice. And we'll start with our feet. Let's gently wiggle our toes just to remind ourselves that they're still there. And then gently bring your awareness to your feet and notice what they feel like. So if your feet are planted into the earth, onto the ground, just notice what that sensation is like. And if you are sitting cross legged or laying down, and just notice what it feels like to have the space. Moving your awareness to your lower legs, relaxing them, moving up to your knees, noticing if there's any tension, and letting it go. Moving your awareness up to your thighs, your hips. Noticing the sensation of your hips and the surface that you are sitting or laying or even standing with. And so if you're sitting, try to imagine that there is a magnet that is becoming stronger, right? This gravitational pull that's pulling you down, helping you feel even more grounded, even more rooted. Notice if you can make it 5% stronger, feeling safe. Moving your awareness up to your belly, option to put your hands on your belly and wherever else your awareness guides you to. And just relaxing the belly. So, not holding on to anything there. Moving up to your ribs, your rib cage, and your lungs. Taking a deep breath in right into this space, and notice if you can fill the sides and the back of your lungs to its full capacity. And then exhale everything out. Moving your awareness up to your heart. Option to put your hands one palm over the other to hold your heart and to notice your heartbeat. Taking a deep breath into this space. letting your heart know that whatever it is going through, it is doing a great job, that you are enough. Let's take one deep breath into this space of enoughness. Exhale, let it go. Moving your awareness up to your shoulders. You can put your hands down if you wish. And moving it down your arms, into your elbows, into your forearms, and into your hands. Noticing your fingertips. See if there's any tingling sensation at the tips of your fingertips. Gently wiggle your fingers to remind yourself that they're there. And moving your awareness back up the arms, forearms, elbows, upper arms, shoulders. See if there's any tension in your neck and shoulders. Option to lift your shoulders all the way up to your ears. Inhale and squeeze them. And then exhale, drop them down. Release. Moving your awareness up to your neck. Gently moving your head side to side, keeping your eyes closed. You can even roll your head all the way around. Notice if there's any tension that you might be holding on to in a particular area. And if you do notice it, then just stay there for a moment. Take a deep breath and release. Bring your head up straight. Bring your awareness to your jaw. Notice if it's clenched. And if it is, invite some softness into this space. Bring your awareness to your face, the air on your face, the space between your eyebrows. And again, invite some softness and just relax your face. Bring the awareness to the back of your head, the top of your head. Bring your awareness to the tip of your nose. Take a deep breath in. Just notice what it feels like to breathe in the cooler air. And then breathe out of your nose and notice that it is slightly warmer. We'll now do a guided breathing practice. So all you have to do is just listen to my instructions. Exhale everything out wherever you are with the SH. And then inhale through your nose for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay empty. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay full. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay empty. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay full. And exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back to normal breathing. Notice if there is any difference in the way that you feel. Keeping your eyes closed, we will transition to the final part of this meditation. And it's a practice that's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll guide you through it. Don't worry. So, the first thing that we're going to do, and please stay as mindful as you can for this part, is we're going to gently open our eyes very softly. Try to not look at the computer screen just yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to find 5 items around us to look at. Try to find 5 beautiful things in the space that you're in to look at, and give each a moment of your time, a moment of your full, undivided attention. Imagine that you are looking at this all with new eyes, a fresh perspective. See if you can notice anything different. You should now be on your 5th item. If you're not, just gently catch up. Okay, now we'll move on to the number 4. For 4, we are going to find 4 things that we can physically feel and touch. So you can find 4 items to individually just touch. Maybe touching your table or your hands, inviting the same fresh perspective into the experience. Notice something new within this space. Should now be on your last item. Okay, and go ahead and close your eyes. and go back into this meditative space. And we will go to number 3. 3 is for things around us that we can hear. And so maybe the easy one would be the sound of my voice, just noticing what it sounds like. And then moving on to 2 other items in your household. And maybe that sound is silence. Should be on your last item. And moving on to 2. 2 is for 2 things around us that we can smell. So this is the time for you to grab that thing that you brought, a piece of fruit, maybe lotion, and just see what it smells like, inviting this newness into your experience. And if you don't have anything around, then just notice what the air smells like. And now let's move to 1. 1 is for something that you can taste. So I'll invite you to just see what the inside of your mouth is like. What does your tongue taste like? Now let's all take a deep breath all the way in to seal that practice. Exhale it out. Bring your hands together and your palms should be together, fingers pointing away. And begin to rub them together, creating some heat. Noticing what that feels like. And then place your hands on opposite shoulders, anchoring in this present moment, stimulating the nervous system, and also giving yourself a big hug for showing up and for practicing. Then you can softly release, and I'll invite you to wiggle your fingers, roll your wrists around, wiggle your toes, just coming into the body, into the space, gently stretching all the way up. And exhale, release. Starting from the bottom, opening your eyes, coming back. And I'm gonna welcome you back. Hello. I hope that you are feeling refreshed. Maybe let me know in the chat how you're feeling. You're putting one hand on your heart and just noticing what comes up. If you feel different from the way you did when you started. I see some people are feeling renewed and relaxed and appreciative, calmer, amazing, relaxed. Yeah, renewed. Perfect. Mission accomplished. So I do realize we're a little bit over. I want to get into the Q&A. I did have 2 more journaling prompts prepared. And rather than doing them, I'm going to leave them for you to do after the session. But something that I do want us to do is to put our hands over our heart And this was actually a prompt that I had prepared, but I want you to think of a prayer for yourself. And prayer doesn't have to be religious or spiritual. It could be something as simple as, may I be healthy, may I be happy, and may I be calm. So let's just close our eyes for a moment and think of a prayer and whisper it to yourself. Give yourself permission to wish for the greatest things in life for you. Okay, and welcome back. So we are gonna get into the Q&A now. I am excited to hear the questions that you have. So let's see. Laura asked, how do you stop your brain from thinking? Good question. It's hard. It's hard and it's actually impossible. The point is not to stop yourself from thinking, but rather to just bring your awareness and your focus into something else, like your breath or your body or your heart, and notice the space in between your thoughts, right? Because your thoughts usually go from one to the other. I'm going to go to the store. Oh, I should have done this thing. Oh, I feel tired now. I'm hungry. And they sometimes don't even have a correlation, kind of all over the place. But there is this sweet spot in between them. And if you just drop into it, you will notice that that space becomes longer, right? So it takes practice. And it might take a few sessions before you really drop into it. But I promise it's so worth it. And I wish you luck on your journey. I do want to say somebody asked, what are the two other prompts? The other two prompts were, I'm going to drop them in here. It was, I'd love to bring in. So, like we started with, I'd love to release. And we finished with, I'd love to bring in. And then the other one was write a prayer for yourself, which we did. And the last one was gratitude. I always love to finish a practice with gratitude. So it would be, I am grateful for, because gratitude is actually not this new age practice. It's ancient and it works. And I really encourage you to try it. Okay. Christy asked, what are some websites or apps or groups to find helpful guided meditation? Better if free. Yeah, so my favorite app is Insight Timer, and I'm putting that all in the chat. Insight Timer, my favorite person on Insight Timer, like somebody that just makes me cry every time I listen to her, is Sarah Blondin. She's amazing. Yeah, it's a free app. And yeah, Headspace is really good. Also Calm. Headspace and Calm, I believe you have to pay for, but Insight Timer is free. And of course, there's also my meditation group. I have on my own meetup group. It's meetup.com/withstillness. I hope to see you all there. Somebody asked how to keep up the motivation for a meditation habit. I think it's easiest to just start simple and small. Maybe you just carve out 1 minute per day to meditate, right? 1 minute is nothing. Just set 1 minute on your timer. You don't need anybody, no guidance, just yourself and your breath. And close your eyes and just see if you can breathe for that 1 minute. And maybe the next day you can go up to 2 minutes and 3 and 4 and 5. And maybe you can tone it down a little bit, but really make it enjoyable. Make it work for you. And of course, there are amazing apps that have a bunch of little challenges that you can do. I think Headspace has like, if you have days in a row, they will send you like cool little stickers, and not like real stickers, like virtual ones, but that could be good. And then maybe also finding an accountability buddy, maybe a loved one who will be happy to do it with you. Somebody asked, if you wake up in the middle of the night and are not able to get back to sleep, how can you use these techniques to fall back asleep? So conscious regulation of breath is the best way to calm down your nervous system. And so for you, I would say deep breathing. There's also this breath count that I don't remember it exactly. I want to say it's 4, 3, 7, 4. Let me actually, no, let me look it up. Oops. Um, Breathing. Oh, it's 4, 7, 8. So 4, 7, 8, which means you inhale for 4, you hold in for 7, and then you exhale for 8. And that is supposed to be a really effective breath work to help you fall asleep. Teresa asked, how do you block out negative comments? Well, you start by offering them a little bit of kindness and love, right? Kindness kills negativity. So if you have a negative thought, start out by just thinking the thought. You don't need to respond. So maybe something comes up and it's like, it's not working. Say, oh, thank you. And that's it. Don't give it anything more. Just offer it some gratitude and continue. And maybe another one will come that will say, I have not done enough today. Then you'd say, thank you. And continue doing that. So gratitude is my answer. Jennifer, what is a good practice to cope with fear in meditation? I think also gratitude. You cannot have two thoughts going on at the same time, right? And if you just offer your heart some gratitude and love, right? Love is like the core emotion, and fear is the wall that stands in front of it. And if we just try to get in through the wall, we'll get into the love. And I know it might sound cheesy, but love is the answer, as the Beatles have said. Okay. Tamara, I find it hard to motivate myself to journal. How can I embed the habit more? I like to do stream of consciousness journaling, which I just open my journal and I write whatever comes up. But something that you might try is a journaling prompt, right? So just already today in the session, we had 4. What's going on in my inner world today is I would feel lighter if I let go of. I'd love to bring in 5 prayer and gratitude. So maybe start with one prompt per day. Maybe every morning you ask yourself, what am I grateful for? And see if eventually you'll want to write more. And if as you're writing, you have this thought that says, I don't know what to write, why don't you write that? That's what I do sometimes. I'll write and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to write anymore. Nothing is coming to me. Sometimes my journal entries will look like a whole page of me just repeating the sentence over and over. But eventually, within the midst of this chaos, there will be this amazing, beautiful like guidance from your intuition that will say, why don't you have a glass of water? Why don't you take a nap? Why don't you just pause for a moment? And that's how I benefit from journaling. Let's see. Sarah, what is the purpose of the hold in the breathing technique? I find it makes me anxious at times. Yeah, it's a personal journey. The purpose is that is a breathing practice, actually. So we did the square breathing, right? We inhaled for 4, held for 4, exhale for 4, and held for 4. And it's just to bring this like regulatory breath pattern to have our nervous system regulate. But if you feel anxious when you hold your breath, maybe your body's trying to tell you something and you don't need to, right? I said at the beginning that I would love for you to feel empowered to make these practices your own. And if you feel like something is not working for you, that's okay. Listen to it and make it personal. Do something that works for you. And if holding for 7, somebody said holding for 7 seems long, then don't do it for 7. Do it for less. These are all invitations, but they're not like a hardcore rule that you have to follow. Okay. How can you learn gratitude? Yeah, it's like a muscle. Maybe start by just asking yourself, what am I grateful for? And usually you'll find tons of things. And it doesn't have to be these amazing big things. It could be something small. Like, I'm grateful that I have access to clean water. I'm grateful that I have a cat that I can pet. I'm grateful that I have food and a loved one and a friend to call. And eventually, like a muscle, you will find yourself doing this more often. You'll find yourself expressing gratitude out of nowhere. That's what I do. I'll just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this moment. And that wasn't always that way, I promise you. So if I could do it, you can 110% do it. Okay, we have last question. And it's, if we feel distracted while meditating, should we stop and try again another time? It's up to you. I think that most people feel distracted while meditating. And actually, to give you a perspective, if you feel distracted while meditating, can you please type yes in the chat, just so that other people can see that they're not alone? Yes. Do you see that? Even I have been meditating for what, a decade now. There are moments when I find it so difficult to do it, but it's just pushing through. And eventually, I promise it gets easier. And some days it'll still be hard. But if you push through that threshold, it will just give you so much of a benefit that you will be really grateful that you did. Okay, so that's all for questions. Thank you so much for coming and for asking them. I do have 2 more slides to get to. Just give me one moment. I have my Google search for the breath practice. So before we part ways, just want to say that you yourself can become a meetup organizer like me. And we are currently offering a 50% discount on first subscriptions. And so if you want to sign up, just go to meetupsavings.com. And another thing is that we have a meetup podcast with our CEO, who is amazing and so energetic. And some of the people he interviewed are people that I personally been following for a while. And so it was really awesome to see that connection come together. So you can subscribe at meetuppodcast.com. And I believe it's available on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all major ones. So I do recommend that you check it out. So we are out of time, and I apologize, but I do want to do one more thing before we part ways, and that's pull a card. And if you have to go, please feel free to dip out. But I have this animal spirit deck, and I pulled this last time, and I got so many comments that they really enjoyed it. So I just want to do it again. This is like a collective thing that we all need to hear. And the card that I got is a bear. So I'm just gonna read very quickly what that means. A bear. Perfect. Waking from spiritual slumber, beginning anew. After a long winter, the bear arises from deep slumber. At first, the movement and effort are difficult, but the bear knows it's time to awaken and move towards the dawning light. The bear card represents an individual on the cusp of new directions and personal transformation. The initial weeks and months of this spiritual quest may feel tricky, cumbersome, and full of obstacles. But you have no choice, bear. Winter wanes, the warmth of spring emerges, and your transformation begins. When in balance, inner strength, yearning to grow. When out of balance, withdrawal, lethargy, and heaviness. To bring into balance, movement and exercise. So I think that's very appropriate for our session today. Thank you all again for coming. I hope to see you in my group. I will post a picture of this reading on the Meetup event page. You can find it there. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon.